Okay, so here, interview number 3 in the series. We're at beautiful Wynyard Golf Course, and it looks great. Weather's fantastic, and I'm here with someone really special that I want to introduce you to. And go for it, Gary.
Thanks very much, Steve. I appreciate those very kind comments. I'm Gary Lumby. I'm Managing Director of a management consultancy business called Focus on Success Limited. But I also am non-executive director to about 20 odd businesses across the Tees Valley area of all different shapes and sizes. So I suppose I know what employment is all about, and I know what growing a business is all about as well. So hopefully we can have an interesting conversation.
For sure. I think that the first thing for me is when I first started hearing about you, I guess it was maybe 2012, 13, and it seemed like everyone was talking about this Gary Lumby guy, and I'm like, wow, who's this guy? Like, where's he come from? What's he done? And it seemed like, and this was just from the outside, you were doing the non-exec director thing for a load of businesses, but I didn't really know where you'd come from and what your experience was. And then when I looked back, I thought, wow, like there is a load of experience behind there. So what was it you were doing before?
Well, I suppose I'm a career banker by trade. You know, I was 22 years with Barclays, and I came up through the ranks. So there's a lesson to be learned there. I started my life in the machine room in Barclays Bank, then went onto the counter, then went into loans, then went into business banking. I suppose I ended up as regional director somehow.
Wow.
That was hard work and you know, and applying myself. And then moved into another bank, Clydesdale and Yorkshire Bank, in 1999, believe it or not, and spent a good 16 years with them. Ended up as UK Director for Business Banking.
Yeah.
And then ran the retail bank as well for 5 years after that.
Wow.
So I suppose I've earned my stripes, but you met me as I've moved into self-employment.
Yeah,
and it's something I would recommend everybody to consider, because it's certainly been, and I hope we don't mind the noise of the tractor in the background. You know, I would certainly consider self-employment as a great route to self-fulfillment and self-development, because it's, for the last 6 years, as you said, I've worked with some brilliant businesses across the northeast of England and the northwest actually, and I'm currently, as I said, working with 20 odd businesses in this region and in Yorkshire, helping them support their growth ambitions and helping them to, I suppose, make their businesses more successful and more profitable.
Wow. So there's a bunch of things I want to say there. We'll come back to the bank. I guess the self-employed thing stands out first, because we've seen a bunch of young people recently that want to be self-employed. We're talking about hairdressers, nails, those kinds of things. It seems to be a lot of girls more than boys. What's your advice for that kind of thing? You know, is it, the way I see it, it's you've got to go and get the qualification to be able to do whatever it is you want to do. So if you want to do hair, you need to be able to actually do it. Then what? You go and serve an apprenticeship, and nowadays it's possible that you go and do it with a social media page after you've served your apprenticeship, if you're good enough, and if you're brave enough, and as long as your money stacks up.
Well, I think it all starts from, you know, having a desire to do something and enjoy doing it, you know, because you're a long time in work, and if you're not having fun, you're probably not going to survive. So I think, you know, and then getting the work experience, going and doing some work, some of the stuff you do is fantastic in that respect. I think also getting qualifications, as you said, whether it's an apprenticeship or whether it's a college, and getting those fundamentals of education inside you, and then you know, starting out and being, you know, so many people are risk averse these days, that, you know, going out and taking that risk. And actually, you know, do some Saturday work to start with, and then thinking about, well, how can I make myself different? And you mentioned social media, and funny enough, one of our businesses, we do have as you know, we have a beauty salon, and my daughter runs that. My daughter runs that, and it's well on Cara Beauty, and she does really well. I think we're in our 6th year now.
Wow.
And she really enjoys that, and so I think, whether it's beauty, whether it's hair, you know, whether it's some sort of healthcare, it's a really fulfilling role. It can be really fulfilling, and actually you can make a real good living out of it as well if you work
unbelievable living
and build a client base up. And you know, and if you're doing something you enjoy, that makes all the difference.
And just for context in that, I'm willing to bet that, what is it, 50-50 word of mouth and Facebook, where that business comes from?
Absolutely right. You've nailed it. 50-50 client referrals and recommendations, and then the rest is from Facebook.
Unbelievable. And it's just insane. So I'm going to come back to what you were saying about the bank. You came in at the, you know, the machine room,
I did.
like boiler room type situation.
Yep.
So what were the grades like when you came out of school? How did they look?
Well, funny enough,
were you a good student?
I was okay. I wasn't the brilliantest student in the world.
Right.
I got sort of 8 GCSEs as they were in the day and 3 A levels.
Right.
I had a couple of university places on offer to do accountancy actually.
That's cool.
Sheffield and Lancashire, I remember it well. But I decided to go into Barclays into their management development programme. And do I regret it? Probably at some points in time in my life I have regretted not going to university, because obviously I missed a great time.
Yeah, I say that all the time.
But ultimately, I think, has it done me any harm? No, because I think there's more routes into being successful than going to university. I think, as you said, vocational training, apprenticeships, you know, hard work and doing something you enjoy is it can make up for not going to university.
I agree entirely. How old are you?
I'm now.
If you want to say on camera.
No, I don't mind. 3 weeks ago, I was 60.
Oh, congratulations!
So 60, and I became a granddad at the same time.
Awesome.
In pretty much the same week. So it's been an interesting
awesome.
last 3 weeks.
Congratulations on
Thank you
both of
very
those.
much, yeah.
So it was
Still
a bit,
going strong, by the way.
yeah, for sure. So university was different then.
Than it was now.
Than it is now. It's so accessible now.
Yeah. It's almost a process now. You've got to go through.
And I always say that process is a substitute for thinking. I don't know if you feel the same way when you run a business. If you get too much into process, you can get people who don't think, and they just kind of follow the process and don't really know where it leads them.
I think it's an interesting one, because clearly on the other side of the coin you have to have a process, because ultimately you have to make sure that you are continually improving your business. And that doesn't matter what size business it is. It could be you just running a beauty salon or a hairdressing salon, or you doing some work in people's homes. But ultimately, you still have to have a process, and you have to continually look to improve it. And I always remember the analogy of the Formula One team, where very small gains in efficiency added up over a period of time make a big difference to the eventual outcome.
Yeah, for sure.
So
same with sprinting, I suppose. And that kind
absolutely
of thing.
right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So coming in at the boiler room, did you have to literally work ground up?
Absolutely. Started off, I remember September 1976, my first annual salary was 1976.
Oh, 76.
My first annual salary was £746.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Working in the machinery in the Barclays Bank in Billingham. And
you're in Billingham?
I was indeed, yeah. I haven't moved very far, have I? Here we are in Wynyard.
It's closed now as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, they have, like so many branches. But yeah, it just goes to show that you don't necessarily have to go to university and have a degree to work your way to the top. I ended up running, as I said, the UK Business Bank for Yorkshire and Clydesdale Bank, and I didn't have a degree.
No.
But I did it by hard work, by listening to my customers, by being a good manager and a good leader.
Yeah.
And I think if you can do that, you can build a career for yourself.
Yeah. And taking the opportunities when they're there.
And absolutely, be prepared to work hard, taking those opportunities, and having a bit of luck. Because we all need a bit of luck.
You need a bit of luck, but I think you've got to be in the game to get luck. I think you can't just stand still and expect luck to come. I said in a talk the other day at school that when those opportunities are there, particularly when you're young, you've just got to take them. It doesn't really matter where they take you, because it's only a positive gain. I don't think that there's anything to lose.
I think these days, I've got children who are now, grown up from teenagers, but I think they are much more prepared. Youngsters are much more prepared to take risks these days in terms of wherever the opportunities take them, as you said, whether it's in this country or abroad. And I'm a big believer in don't be held back by your horizons. The world's a big place. So go out and find it, and find what you like, and enjoy yourself while you can.
And life expectancy, I haven't touched on this in such a big way, but when you were in your early 20s, life expectancy for your generation was way different to now.
Absolutely right, and obviously the improvements in medical science, health, and etc. is people like me are going to live longer.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's great, because we're all going to, providing you enjoy yourself. And here I, at 60, still don't think I'll be retiring anytime soon, because I enjoy doing what I do.
My dad's 10 years older than you,
and he's still working. Good for him.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to quit. As long as he can keep going, he's going to keep going. But I think the difference is now, you had such a lower life expectancy when you were in your early 20s, that everyone was trying to move fast and kind of do everything. I think you can be maybe 10 years more patient now as a younger person.
You can, but I still think you should obviously take the opportunities when they come your way. And the world is littered with people who have full of regrets, and I always say, don't be like that. Don't let opportunities pass you by and then regret it later on. Take them. And if that means travel, that means travel. And
exactly.
if that means somebody doing something at a lower pay than you would necessarily want to, but you're going to enjoy it, do it, because you can always build your way up.
I agree. And just to clarify what I was saying, what I mean is you don't have to rush into a mortgage and kids and marriage and all that kind of thing now. You've got 10 years more.
Absolutely. People
to
get
play
married
with.
later, people having children later.
For sure.
And people are buying houses later, if buying houses at all. You might well be moving into a rental society.
Yeah, just like the rest of Europe and
Just
the
like
United States and the rest of the world.
Yeah.
I think it's, I think it's a great way for you to keep your costs low and for you to be super flexible to go and do all the other things
That's
that
right.
your generation maybe didn't get to do.
Correct.
Because you were all jumping into mortgages and that kind of thing. So that's cool. So the reason I ask about you coming in from the bottom is the way it's structured here in Teesside for jobs, and this is something that we speak to loads of young people about and they don't know what's there. There's a lot of high skilled, high experienced, high paying jobs at the top end here in Teesside for really skilled people. Then unlike most regions, we're kind of missing a lot of the middle range jobs. Then you've got a lot of no skilled and low skilled jobs at the bottom.
Yep.
And I think the key to those jobs, because you can't get those ones at the top without being able to do something. I could apply for jobs in my field because I'm good at it. You could apply jobs for your field because you're good at it. But for young people coming out of school, it's those no skill or low skill jobs that they could be looking at and saying, actually, I can get in there based on attitude alone.
You can, and I always say you recruit for attitude and you train for skills and knowledge.
Yeah.
When we're recruiting across all my businesses, we look for people with attitude and passion. That's the number one thing. And then we can train them for everything else. We can train them around the skills of the job, the knowledge for the job. But if they've got the right attitude, they can go a long way.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think once you're in work, it's a lot easier to progress. And you're right in terms of what you're saying about Teesside. There is a lot of opportunities at lower level skilled jobs, but ultimately, the bigger businesses that are in and around Teesside they want to recruit and they want to promote from within.
Yeah.
Every business I know would rather promote from within than promote from outside, because it's much more guaranteed outcomes.
Yeah, even from a cold, hard point of view, I think about schools. Schools went through a big spate of hiring in teachers from all over the place because they were great teachers and they had high Ofsted scores. But then they all had their own way of working from the schools they came from, and the culture was messed up. And
that's what happened in banking as well. Banking went through a phase of recruiting managers from external businesses, particularly from retail, because they thought it would work.
Yeah.
It didn't work. They had to go back to promoting from within.
That's it. And so many people are doing it now, and that's the opportunity for young people to get on the ladder, like you did, like I did. Get into the bottom, make coffee. I was making paper files.
I was doing the stationery. I tell you what, I was doing the stationery and sweeping the backyard. So hopefully those days I'm still doing that at home, I think. So actually, those days are not necessary.
I don't think you're ever going to get away from that, man. But I think that's the most important thing, is if you're going to get in, have the right attitude when you go to the interview. Turn up like you want the job. Turn up and ask some questions. I was talking to someone about an interview yesterday and saying, the worst thing when, if I'm interviewing someone, I don't know about you, when you say at the end, have you got any questions? And they don't. Or they want to know how many days holiday they're going to get. Or if they get a 1 hour lunch break or a 30-minute lunch break. It'd be great one day if someone went, actually, I'd like to know more about what you do.
Exactly.
What's this? At least you look engaged.
Yeah, even if you just ask, what are the opportunities and challenges in this business that you're facing every day? And, as though you're interested in learning more about the business. But you're absolutely right. Being prepared to work, being prepared, dressed appropriately, arriving on time, being prepared to stay and not looking to leave early every day. Just doing a good job day in and day out. And sometimes it is hard to do that because sometimes you're not your best, but being positive is much more important than necessarily being the brightest button in the class. If you can be positive, you can do the basics right, you're going to get noticed.
That's it, for sure. And it's something that I've said a few times about hard work's coming. Whether it's now in the run-up to your GCSEs, or whether it's in the run-up to your A-levels, or whether it's in the run-up to your dissertation or your first job, regardless of unless you're going to be on the dole for the rest of your life, hard work's coming, in my opinion.
Just get used to it.
So you might as well just be happy about it and do something you actually like doing.
Exactly, because then it doesn't feel like hard work.
This doesn't feel like work to me.
It feels like you're enjoying yourself. Well, this is enjoyable.
Yeah, and actually we're quite lucky because of where we are and that kind of thing. Could have been the rain and we'd have been inside, but that's it. So I don't want to kind of go on about the same things for too long, but if you're hiring now, how different is it now when you're hiring people here for jobs in any of the businesses that you do at any level to when you were maybe going for jobs in your 20s and 30s? How different is it in terms of the expectation for qualifications, interest, that kind of thing?
I think qualifications fall into two categories: vocation and academic. And clearly, whichever it is you decide to go down, it's important that you follow it through and try and get those qualifications, because it is a competitive marketplace out there for employers for employees looking to recruit. So I think that's important. But ultimately, the basics are the same. You know, we look for people who are look like they're willing to put in a good shift, are willing to actually turn up every day, no matter rain or shine, and to make themselves presentable and understand the importance of the customer in all this, because without customers we wouldn't have businesses.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly right. And that's the kind of thing that leads you to where you are now. You're your own boss, you can do your own thing, you get involved in all sorts of cool stuff, but today you're going to have a golf day, and that's
with a client.
With a client, admittedly, but you know, you won't be stuck. You don't have to be stuck in the office forever doing that 9 to 5 grind. And
sometimes I wish I'd taken that leap into self-employment longer before I did, but ultimately I got here eventually. But as I've said, there's absolutely no barriers to anybody doing what I've done. It's not educational achievement, it's hard work and applying yourself and having a passion for your work and for your life.
Yeah, dead right. Final 3 questions, because I know we've got to get away really quick. First one, I'm going to ask about how you find the balance between male and female new starters and employees. I'm just going to tell you why I'm asking that. We are desperately looking for more female business leaders or females that are in business, whether they don't have to run the company, but doing something.
Senior positions.
Yeah, because we have loads of young girls who want to do stuff, but they've got no one really to aspire to. And we need more of that. We need more inspiration. So how do we go about getting more?
It's a really good question, Steve. And actually, I'm working with a lady in Newcastle called Linda Hickman, who's running a business exclusive network, and she's actually running an event in November of this year, based around how do we get more women onto boards. And it's a big issue for the government, and it's a big issue for businesses, and we've just got to encourage more females to think of themselves as being able to achieve the very top jobs,
for sure.
And making sure that we actually give them the opportunities. I'm not one for necessarily the Norwegian model where you actually go down legislation to actually make sure you have to have a certain ratio.
No, it's meritocracy.
I think it's meritocracy, totally. Absolutely right. But you know, the more people like you and the more people like myself who recruit purely on the basis of merit and talent, the more females we will get to senior positions.
That's it.
It's so important. It's such an important thing for business to have, because trust me, that diversity makes a big difference in terms of business performance.
It does, and I think we've just got so many young girls. We see it all the time. The boys always want to be a joiner, bricklayer, welder. The girls always want to be, and I'm being very general here, an admin apprentice, work in a care home, or be a teaching assistant. And there's nothing wrong with any of those jobs. Any of those careers, you can make a great living at all of those things, but there's so much more out there. And you look at some of the women we've got here running businesses, and you think, look at what you could go and do. And I just wish we had more of that, so hopefully we can get more.
And also some more females into self-employment as well.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, because as I said, we've got some fantastic examples of some great female entrepreneurs who've done fantastic jobs.
Yeah, we need more. We do this thing with all the groups when we go and speak to them. We get them to write down 3 lists. What job do you want to do? And that one doesn't matter so much when we do it, actually. What job do you want to do? What do you want out of life? So that might be a Mercedes, it might be a pool in your back garden, it might be a helicopter. I know I'm just naming loads of things that you've got.
Not the last 2 there.
Sorry, what you like doing outside of school. And the idea is to get all 3 of those things together, because now in the internet generation you can actually do all of those things. You can get the Mercedes and work for yourself possibly, and do something you like doing, rather than having to go and get a job just because you need a job. But I think the middle one's the most important. So what is it that you want out of life now, 60 years old, with grandchildren? You might, a couple of weeks ago you might have said grandkids, and that's happened. You know, what is it now? What are you chasing? Because I think everyone's got to have little goals and big goals. What are you after?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately what I'd like to do is pass my businesses on to my children. That's my success and exit plan.
Excellent.
I think I'd like to spend more time with my wife and my dog, and doing things, usually involve some sort of exercise, walking or cycling, or going to the gym more often. And we've got very fortunate to have a house in Spain, so we want to spend more time over there. But for me, it's not necessarily retiring as such. It's potentially doing a little less hours than I'm doing now.
Rebalancing.
But rebalancing it. And I think, having a work-life balance is so important. And as you get older, I think that becomes even more important to your health as well.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you've got to be prepared to put the hours in the short term. But once you get to my age, I think you've got to start thinking about rebalancing your work and spend more time with your family. That's what I want to do.
Excellent. Just out of interest, because I never get to ask this, I always ask that question, but everyone's always too young to have to be able to look back. I'm not calling you old, don't get the wrong impression, but how different is that answer now to how it would have been 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago?
I think 20 years ago I was still very much on the corporate grindstone. I was working 12, 15 hours a week, and ultimately I had one goal, and that goal was to get to the very top. The very best I could do for myself.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
No.
I think everybody has to be able to, or want to do the best they can do for themselves, whatever their ability.
Yeah.
But I think 20 years on now, I think I've achieved what I've achieved. I'm very happy with it, done what I've done. I'm very happy looking after the businesses I'm now looking after. But at some point in time, rather than put my clients first, which I always tend to do, I need to put my family first at some point in time in the future, and I want to do that.
Yeah, excellent. Last one, straight down the camera if you can. What is the one message you would give to any 13 to 25-year-old, male or female, job seeker / career seeker, anywhere in the country right now?
Be passionate, be smart, be attentive, be inquisitive, and actually be confident in your own ability, because everybody's got it within them to be successful.
Awesome. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Steve.